Hey everybody, my name is Charles and I am your coordinator here at Mission Control. Now the last 9 weeks we have been following Hank in his journey into the unknown. It is an amazing journey where he's had to learn and work out his whole approach. And we've been exploring that theme verse of keep doing the things that you have received, learned, heard, and seen in me. And the God of peace will be with you in Philippians 4 verse 9. That's been our theme verse. But first I'm going to hand you over to Doc, who will go over a little bit more about Hank's journey this last week. Over to you, Doc.
Oh, I thank you, Charles. Yes, that's right. My name is Dr. I Know It. And I have had the extreme privilege this last 9 weeks of journeying with you through this theme of mission control. This is our last week, Charles informed me, so I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be part of this with you. Now, Hank has really had a great time up there. He's had his own personal challenges, but he's also really started to focus on what he can do to help others. So I'm going to hand you back to Charles, who will explain and talk to Hank a little bit more. See you later, guys.
Thanks, Doc. So we're going to head over to Hank now. Hank, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, hi guys. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for being part of my journey, actually.
So, tell us, this has been your 9th week in space there, partner, and where are you at? What do you learn? What are you thinking about?
What have I learned? I think I've learned such a lot these last 9 weeks. I mean, whether it's the spacewalking or whether it's the awesome documentaries, I mean, that's really, I think helped me have a lot of peace when it's been real challenging. So yeah, no, that's been a real big one. But actually this last week I watched a really good documentary. It was a wonderful story. This one just reminded me that when we follow Jesus, we actually have to help people. Sometimes not for our reward. You don't always get someone to say, oh, it's a lovely job, you're such a cool person for helping. But sometimes just to do stuff that actually helps and shows love to people. That's something I think in my life, and all these stories and documentaries we've done these last 9 weeks, has really helped me right through with knowing how Jesus makes a big difference in people's lives. I reckon, Charles, that we should actually watch that one, the last one. Yeah.
All right, okay, cool. Well, we'll roll that documentary. Hey guys, Donald from St. Paul's Kids here. Now the story I got for you guys this week is one that reminds us about Jesus and how he loves us and the lengths he will go and what he wants us to do. But it happened a long time ago. All visitors would see this town, they wanted them to know how wealthy and how happy everybody was. And so the mayor and the townsperson of the day had this statue built of the happy prince. A prince that had been the king's son and had always been smiling. So they made this statue 90 feet tall, overlooking the whole town. And in this statue, they covered it in gold leaves, so flakes of gold, head to toe. And on his sword, there was a giant ruby, the size of your fist. And in each eye was the super most rarest sapphire embedded in. And at the right moment, when the sun was setting, the light would hit it in just the right way, the eyes would sparkle with a flash of blue, and his ruby on the hilt of his sword would shine bright, brilliant red everywhere. People would stand and look at the statue and go, what a beautiful statue that is. But many years after it was put up, a swallow was distracted, and even though the swallows in this part of the world would have to fly south so that they could stay warm, because a swallow, if it gets cold and the frost and snow comes, it'll die. But this little particular swallow, he was buzzing around. He thought the town was so much fun. He loved the pond. And when all the other swallows had left long ago, he stayed. And then he noticed that it got a little bit cool. And so the swallow thought, oh, I better get moving. So he started flying. He got quite tired because he flew a long way. And he thought, I need somewhere to stay the night. So he landed at the foot of this giant statue. And so the little swallow curled up, put his wing over his head, and started to fall asleep. But not long after, he felt a drip on his head. He looked up at the sky. It was brilliant, starlit sky, not a cloud in the sky. And he thought, what a funny place this is. Where's the rain coming from? Then again, another drip landed on him. He's like, this is ridiculous. There's not even a cloud in the sky. Where is this water coming from? And he was about to fly off when again, another drip landed on him. But this time he saw where it come from. He flew up to the source of these tears, and to his surprise, they were coming from the Happy Prince's eyes. The swallow looked at the statue and he said, Happy Prince, why are you upset? Look at you, you're beautiful. You've got gold cased over you, head to toe. You've got sapphires for eyes and a ruby in your sword. And the Happy Prince statue said to the swallow, if only you could see what I can see. I've been standing here my whole life and I've been looking and I see such beautiful wonder and wealth and happiness amongst some people. But I also see that there's people who don't have much. There's people without. In fact, what's making me cry is I'm looking at the son of a seamstress who's making this beautiful bright dress for a wealthy person for the ball, but her little boy is sick and with a fever, and she doesn't have any money to get him anything, and the only thing she can give him is water from the river, which is making him sick. And the swallow looked at him and he said, well, Prince, what can I do? I can't do anything. I have to fly home down south because winter is coming in. If winter arrives, I will die. And the statue looked at him with his bright eyes. And he said, oh, please, swallow, if you'll just stay with me one more night, could you please in the morning take this ruby sapphire from my sword and just drop it and give it to the mother so that she might get medicine and clean water for her son? And again, the swallow replied to the Happy Prince, but little Prince, if I do not fly south, winter will come and I will die. And the swallow saw the tears falling from his eyes. And he said, okay, one more night. He picked and he moved and he managed to pry out the ruby from the little Happy Prince's sword. And he flew it through town, the place where all the poor people were. And he poked his head through the window, and what he saw was the seamstress asleep at her sewing machine, and a little boy coughing and shivering from the fever. He hopped up right beside the mother. He dropped the ruby at her head and flew to the window. The mother opened her eyes and saw the ruby. She's like, son, what a gift we've been given. I can get you some medicine. And the swallow flew back to report what he had seen and done. And now the swallow said, for I must rest now, little prince, for if I do not fly south, winter it will come and I will die. The little swallow covered his head, knowing it was getting cold. But again, drip fell. Another drip fell. The swallow was like, oh, come on. He flew up. What is making you cry? We've given your ruby away. And he looked and he said, oh, little swallow, I look and I see a playwright working hard to finish his play, but he has no food and he has no wood to put on the fire. He's completely with that. He's so hungry he can't at all think about what he's doing. So he can't finish this play that he can sell and make some money. If only you would deliver him something that would help. He was like, well, what, Prince? What can I give? I have nothing. And he said, Little swallow, please take the sapphire from my eye. The swallow couldn't believe what he was hearing. He said to the little prince, but you'll only half be able to see. You can't do that, little prince. That's wrong. Why would you do that? You've got these beautiful eyes. Please, Mr. Swallow, please just do this one more night for me. Well, the swallow explained to him. He said, but if I don't leave tomorrow, if I don't head south, winter will come and I will die. The prince looked at him. And with a heavy heart, the swallow agreed. And he pecked and he moved and he prodded and eventually twisted the sapphire out from the little happy prince's eye. And he grabbed it and he flew it to the playwright, who was again fast asleep, shivering. It was cold in there, ooh, the swallow thought, but he dropped the sapphire. And out he flew. And he watched. And that day the playwright, he woke and he found the sapphire and he thought, at last I can get some food in my stomach and I can think and I can get creative. And he did that and he put logs and he was able to finish his play that day. Wow. The swallow flew back to tell the little prince what he had seen and what had happened and how happy the playwright was. The swallow said, but now I must rest, for tomorrow I need to fly south, for winter is coming, and if I don't leave before winter gets here, I will die. And the swallow curled up, put its wing over its head, and again. The drip started to hit. The swallow was like, no, I'm not doing it. No. More drips happened again, and it was almost a flood, and the swallow threw his wings down, and the frustration, my goodness, little prince, he flew up to the eye. He looked at me, he said, you have one eye. Winter is coming. I have to go south or I will die. The prince, and his one eye, looked at the swallow. He said, oh, but little swallow, a little girl who's a matchmaker and seller has dropped all her matches in the puddle, and they're wet, so she can't sell them. No one will buy wet matches. And if she goes home without any money, she'll go hungry. And the people around her will hurt her. If you would kindly take the sapphire to her, she won't get hurt and she'll have food to feed her family. Please, would you do this one last thing for me? One last thing. The swallow was like, how could I do that? How will you see? How can you see without any eyes? And the statue said, some things are worth giving up so that others can have joy. So again, the swallow, worried that winter was coming, and if it arrived, he would die. He worked his last eye out of the prince. And he flew it down to the little girl who was still sitting there in the square, crying, worried what was about to happen. And the swallow came up and dropped the sapphire in her hand and frittered off. The little girl opened her eyes and saw this beautiful blue sapphire, and she thought, what a pretty blue stone, and took it to her dad, who then sold it and was able to feed his family. And a little girl, for the first time in months, had a full tummy. The swallow looked at the joy that was in this little girl's eyes, and he made a decision. He flew back to the statue and he said to the statue, little prince, that girl was so happy, but you have no eyes to see. Let me tell you what is happening. And the swallow flew up to his shoulder and he described all the things and all the things that were happening to the people and what he had seen, and how there were some people who had so much but were keeping it for themselves, and others who had so little but yet they were still trying to help people. And the prince said to the swallow, if only you would stay one more night and take the pieces of gold and drop it to all the people in the village who need it, that would make me so happy. The swallow said, well, winter is coming, and if it gets here, I will die. But I will do this for you, Prince. And so the little swallow spent the next 3 days taking the gold leaf off the Happy Prince statue and dropping it to people that need whenever he saw it. And eventually, the last one came off and was dropped at a person's who needed it. The little swallow flew up to the statue to tell him what he had seen. And just as he was about to get there, the first flake of snow landed on his beak. The little swallow knew what was about to happen. He landed at the statue. He said, thank you, little prince. You've shown me the importance of generosity, but winter is here. I will die. Then he curled up as tight as he could, snuggled up into the prince's neck, and faded away, and fell at the feet of the prince. The town heard a crack as the prince's heart broke in two. Now, the mayor was walking the next day along, and he looked up and he was like, oh my goodness, the Happy Prince doesn't look like he's happy at all. Look, his sapphires have gone from his eyes, and where's the ruby in his sword? This won't do. People won't come to see this. We need a new statue. And in fact, the mayor instructed that the statue be melted down, and he would use the statue of the Happy Prince as the base for a statue, a mighty statue of himself. Now, when the man was melting down the statue, he noticed that there was a heart broken, made of lead, and it wouldn't melt. So the foundry owner picked up this heart, broken, and threw it in the bin to be taken to the dump. And so they tipped out the big bin of all the metal bits, and the heart rolled out. It landed beside the body of a dead swallow. Now, up in heaven, an angel was told by God to go into earth and find the two most beautiful things ever. So the angels flew through the whole earth looking for everything, and he landed at this one place, a dump. He looked down and he saw a dead swallow next to a broken heart. And he took the two up to heaven. He showed God, and God looked at them and said, my child, you've chosen so well. And so he breathed on the swallow, and it was alive, and it opened its eyes, and it was full of warmth and happiness, and was able to fly in heaven. And the little heart that was broken, God breathed on it and kissed it. Fixed it, opened his hands, and his heart turned into the little prince, who was able to run and enjoy and bask and play with the swallow the whole time in heaven, because there is never a more greater thing than the love of someone given for someone else. And that, guys, is our story this week, because true peace is found in Jesus. I'll catch you later. That's an awesome story. So, hey, I'm going to pray with you guys. It's been a blast having you with us these last 9 weeks. I hope you enjoyed it. And right now, let's talk to Jesus. Jesus, I just thank you right now that you are with us, that you give us peace in the hard times, that when life isn't easy, you are always with us. You comfort us. You help us to understand your love and how it encompasses us. It surrounds us like angels' wings, holding us tight. We thank you that you love us. May you protect us and keep us safe this week, Lord. Bless us in your most awesome name. Amen. All right, guys, this is Charles for the final time of Mission Control, signing off.